Ladies and gentlemen, once again I welcome you to this channel where we have plenty of information that we need to share. In my capacity as a human rights activist and a person who has been involved in so many patriotic acts involving our country. Today I want to visit the issue of the accumulation of the act by Gen Zs, which amounted to occupying Parliament on Thursday, 20th of June, 2024. What does that amount to? That is the subject of today's views as far as I am concerned. Take it that this is from my position, which I deem to be of relevance to the Kenyan public. Now, if we go back to what happened on the 18th, which was a Tuesday, in relation to the Reject Finance Bill protests. What followed immediately after the protests took off, and which was also part of the protests, was the urge or the agreement by the Gen Zs to occupy Parliament. Interestingly, during the protests on Tuesday, which was to be the day for the second reading of the Finance Bill 2024, what happened was that as they protested, they kept chanting a very common slogan since then. The slogan was, "Ruto must go." And it was the same slogan that was being chanted when they occupied Parliament come that Thursday, when they went there in protests on the day that Parliament was to have its third reading of the bill and sign it, vote yes for it, and send it to the president for assent. Now, it is a very interesting scenario that developed by the act of occupying Parliament, which I don't seem to hear even our legal experts address. In my view, although the president referred to that act as desecration of Parliament, in my view, I regard that as the act of an employer storming the office that he has issued or given out for the conduct of their business to eject the personnel that is running that office because they have failed to satisfy the need and intentions of the employer. And that is why when the employer stormed parliament, despite the employee having given their signature to approving a rejected bill by the employer, they had to flee to evade the wrath of the employer. And it is not just to evade the wrath of the employer. That was the outcome or the total picture of their living or escaping the wrath of the employer. The employer took charge of every area of that office, which is Parliament, signifying that they had taken over that office. They had sent home their employees. And therefore, in my view, it stands out that the employees were fired. And what now stands out is the use of the office bearers' authority to do what they still continue to do by regarding themselves as legally or legitimate employees of that office, when in real sense they have been fired. That office has every member who has been working in that office sent home. They have been fired. They don't hold office. And so let it not be taken from the point of view that simply because the employer never applied use of arms to defend that position, that they have no authority. It is actually the employee who has desecrated that office by acting contrary to the will of the people. You know, it brings about a very interesting question here. Who are the people? Until that Tuesday, 18th, they held themselves as the people. But come Thursday, they realized that they were not the people. The people who matter in accordance with the provisions of Article 1 of our Constitution came and took over that office. The sovereign of this country came in and took over that office, which is a true proposition, which is a realistic position, because there are only two ways provided constitutionally for the sovereign to exercise their power and authority. by representation or by direct representation of themselves, which is what they did. And so, whatever else that the former employees continue to do wherever they are or contemplate to do, simply because the employer cannot use force to eject them, it stands to be null and void. And that is why even during the Saba Saba commemorations held at Uhuru Park, the same chants of Ruto must go were repeated. And the same slogan shall continue to be chanted, and it is not until that is attained that the slogan shall go dead. It does not matter now what the president does in effort to reconcile with the people. 20 months down the line, what the people have experienced is abandonment. They have been cheated, according to them. They have been denied that which was the basis of having to put the people they elected to represent them went to do. And therefore, it is not going to be convincing by any simple measure until the fulfillment of this slogan that Ruto must go is attained. The employer does not know, does not care whether it shall be by whatever means that what stands to be attained after the occupiers who seem or have, the conviction to be the occupiers, in quotes. Whatever it is to be done or remains to be done for what needs to be the proper need of the people to be achieved. Ruto cannot appoint members of the IEBC because the outcome will be they are biased. Ruto cannot have a task force like he directed because the legally constituted office, as per the Constitution, is that of the Auditor General. And so to create any other task force out of that for the purpose or for the job that the Auditor General's office has been created for is to go against the Constitution. Further, there is no way such a task force, if it ever came into being, would be deemed to have worked without influence. And therefore, according to ethics, for an independent audit to take place, Ruto automatically has to be out of office. So, according to the employer, whether they still consider themselves to be in office or the official office holders, and therefore can continue holding office until the next general election, they shall have gone against the will of the people and would be drawing the country into greater disquiet than if they resigned and left office and left the relevant authority that should take over in the situation that we as a country are, to take responsibility of the country pending the next general election. But as it is, as we stand, there's nothing that President Ruto will do that will convince Kenyans that he has the best interest of the country at heart. The best interest of the country is what is dictated by the people. Because if your best interest does not resonate with the interest of the majority of the people in a country, then that can as well be deemed to be selfish interest. Therefore, Ruto cannot appoint IEBC members to have it legally constituted. Ruto cannot constitute a task force for auditing. Whatever appointment he makes as we stand rejected by the people, because they regard the people who we shall be entitled to sit and vet these appointees as already having been fired. So the prudent thing here is for the president to read the message on the wall. And the message on the wall is that he resigns, that he vacates office. Because logically, by the actions that took place and the chants, the message in the chanting that has been going on that Ruto must go, will not cease at any point in time until that happens. And therefore, it is also a very complicating scenario if he takes it upon himself to go about establishing what is yet to be attained for or in readiness for the next general election, because it shall also be disqualified by the people. It is only logical for the president to vacate office and let the country take direction without him having any influence in the running of that high office that gave him the authority to do all that he has been doing, but which went against the will of the people. That is my view of the whole scenario, and I believe it is a position that can be said to be relevant if it is considered in all the aspects that I have presented. Let's think what we need to do now from where the country stands. Thank you.